Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Vendo Velocity. We're super excited that you decided to join us here today. I'm extremely stoked to welcome a first-timer onto the Vendo Velocity podcast, and that is Sarai. Sarai helps to lead our Walmart.com advertising team and has a lot of great insights on the space. But first, if this is the very first time that you're joining Vendo Velocity, it's great to have you here. I'm Delaney Del Mundo, our host, and I lead our Amazon and TikTok shop strategy teams here at Vendo. Sarai, you are one of the long timers here now at Vendo, as it seems. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and give a little bit of background into what your day-to-day looks like here at Vendo?
Yeah, thank you, Delaney. I'm so excited to be here on the Vendo Velocity podcast. As Delaney mentioned, I am one of the senior Walmart advertising managers here at Vendo. So I help guide our Walmart team and everything on paid search and social for Walmart. I've been here for 3 years now, and I started off as an intern, and now I'm leading our team. So it's been a very fulfilling 3 years. I'm super excited, and I'm really excited for what's to come as well.
Absolutely. And it seems like Walmart advertising is growing as quickly as Sarai's grown in her role. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the stats that we saw now that some of Walmart's recent quarterly earnings got released. Really, on the e-commerce side of the business in Walmart US, sales were up 22% and weekly active customers increased by 20%. Their marketplace sales grew 32% for the quarter. And I feel like that's what we've continued to see in the space is just consistent double-digit growth where with WFS and sellers really leaning into that, they've been able to just accomplish quarter-over-quarter growth. And I think one of the bigger things that they've leaned into is the ads. And globally, Walmart reported that their advertising grew 26%, including 30% growth for Walmart Connect in U.S. advertising sales, driven by marketplace sellers were nearly up 50%. So these are some big statistics, Sarai. And even when we look at the Walmart versus Amazon conversation, which we don't like to have as much internally, it does really seem like they're closing the gap. So today I want to talk through some of those updates specifically and what it's looked like in the space as it's continued to evolve. First, let's start off with sponsored video. I think that's one that we're really excited by. Sarai, why don't you kind of talk about just the development of sponsored video that you've seen and maybe some of the more recent changes?
Yeah, so going back to what I was saying, I mean, when sponsored video first launched, it was a game changer because we only really had sponsored products and sponsored brand, which the sponsored brand is like a premium placement, and then Walmart introduces sponsored video, which is a game changer. I mean, it lets suppliers showcase their product in a different way. So when it first launched, we were told that the CPCs were going to be $1.30, which is pretty expensive. I mean, it's more expensive than a sponsored brand, which is at a dollar. But now Walmart has released, starting November 1st, that we are going to be able to lower the CPCs from 130 to 80 cents. So that is a huge game changer. I mean, it's definitely a placement that we recommend to our clients to always try and bid on because it just creates a lot of brand awareness. And the fact that we're lowering the CPCs on this is just going to be phenomenal, especially because sometimes, you know, brands don't have a lot of budget to support for a lot of the sponsored product placements or sponsored brands. So the fact that we could start at 80 cents, I mean, it'll just stretch our budget even further and it'll allow us to potentially gain more clicks with that same ad spend. So we're hoping to see decreases in CPCs and improve our return on ad spend since we're going to be generating more consistently and an increased revenue per click. But it's going to be really exciting to pay less for our click and have the flexibility to expand our budget and just increase the impressions and awareness throughout the day.
Yeah, those are really great points. And I want to get your take on just what makes a good sponsored video. Are you seeing a lot of brands take more of a branded video and implementing that? Or are you seeing product-based videos? Does it vary by category? Would love your take on that.
It definitely varies by category. I've seen both. I've seen where the brand wants to build their name and kind of just highlight who they are. But I've also seen the product side of it where they highlight the product the entire time. You know, whether it's someone using it, whether it's someone just sitting next to it, like it varies by any category. I would say that the most success we've seen in sponsored videos comes when someone is using the product. I think it's very eye-catching and it catches the customer's attention span much better because they're able to see, you know, how the product is being used, do they need it, and it actually allows for you to see the video last through its entirety. So I think I recommend if there's anyone out there who's trying to launch a sponsored video, have anyone really use your product within the video because it really tells the story and you can see your impressions lift and also your click-through rate go up just because people are curious to see what the product is and read about it after watching a video.
Definitely. And I think that ties really well into what we're seeing in the Amazon space too, where user-generated content is actually performing really well within videos, probably due to a lot of what Sarai is talking about, where there's more authentic content, it's more product-based, right? You're really getting to the punch and the hook of the video very early on. And so because of that, conversion rates are higher. So it doesn't always need to be this very built-out video. It really just needs to get to the point of what is this product going to help you solve? What are the key benefits, etc. That's great to hear. I'm wondering, Sarai, on that point, are we seeing more and more brands kind of roll out this ad type, or are you still seeing on Walmart.com specifically that there isn't as much competition here, of course, compared to other ad types, but just in general, like how has the adoption been for sponsored video?
Oh, the adoption has been crazy. I mean, you can't really go on a page without seeing a sponsored video within the middle of it. I think a lot of suppliers are definitely taking advantage of it. And I mean, it's going to be even more of an advantage now that it's so cheap because they're just going to want to roll out as many videos as possible. And like I said, you can do so much with low CPCs that people are probably going to be targeting different keywords even outside of their scope maybe. So it's definitely gained a following. I honestly haven't seen a page where there's no sponsored video. Maybe it's because the keyword isn't relevant, but I mean, any type of page that you land on like chocolate or fitness or anything, you see a sponsored video and it captivates you. It makes you want to watch it and see what the product is about. So I think that's the lesson that a lot of clients are learning is that they're taking that 15 seconds of catching your eye and just expanding it throughout the site.
Definitely. No, those are all fantastic points. Shifting a little bit more and staying within the creative side, I want to talk a little bit about the creative certification program. I know there have been more recent updates to that. Can you let our audience know what that really means for brands?
Yeah, so Walmart recently also rolled out a creative certification program that you can take on the Walmart Connect site. What that means is that if you are CCP certified, you are able to really handle the creatives of a brand and have input on it, intake, and Walmart is there to back you up and help you. It used to be only supplier rolled out, so a selective amount of suppliers would be CCP certified. Now it's available to everyone. So we've definitely here at VENDO have taken the reins on that, and we're all CCP certified because we want to have our brands trust us with the creatives and make sure that they're being guided in the right direction. And what's cool is that it gives us the freedom to develop any campaign assets using any existing in-house creatives from a team or an agency, and we have the support to back us up as well. We have more control over the creative development and the final assets, and then there's shorter timelines. We can expedite things. So being CCP certified is very, very advanced, and it's very good for your company and an agency to have, just because you guys have more of a voice in what can be live and what isn't. And with the help of Walmart, I mean, you can even do live office hours with them. They can help you and they can guide you and expedite things for you. So I really think this is a cool program that has been rolled out. a lot of the team members on my team on the Walmart side have taken this certification program. And honestly, it's allowed a lot of brands to trust us with their creatives, which we can't thank enough, you know?
Definitely. No, those are great points. I mean, it really sounds like there's no reason not to get CCP certified. So
Right.
If you haven't already, go and do that. And you heard it from Sarai first. But on that point, Sarai, I want to ask, on Amazon, we're seeing a lot of sort of shifting internally at Amazon to generative AI, and specific for creative, they're leaning into this more and more. To my knowledge, Walmart.com hasn't gotten there yet, correct? Where they're really leveraging AI for their creatives. Is this something that you foresee happening, or is it mainly that Walmart wants to maintain more control over their creatives?
I think in the foreseeable future, we're definitely going to have AI. I think right now we're just building up to it. I mean, in the future, we're probably going to manage these display campaigns on our own, which we handle the creatives for. We ask the brand and they allow us to, you know, do what we have to do to get them live. But in terms of AI, we still haven't had the opportunity to work with it. But I do think once Walmart is there and at the capacity that it's running and its rate, I think we definitely will get there where we have the AI option. I do see Walmart wanting to control a little bit of the creatives and have a little bit of a say in it. But I do think how AI is developing, especially on the Amazon side, I mean, whatever you guys see now, we see it in a couple of years. So I definitely think it's going to be something that we see in the future.
Totally agree. And we're also seeing within TikTok's Symphony program, it's the same thing where you could literally create customer avatars where they are literally avatars making user-generated content, promoting the brand, but it is a completely fake person. They do not exist, and you would never be able to tell. So
it's crazy. I've seen those, and it's insane how much they look like a real person.
Yep.
And I think once it rolls out like globally, I really do think that we're going to see more of that. And even on the Walmart side, probably, because it does trick your mind into thinking this is a real person. So, you know, you want to try out what they're saying.
Right, exactly. And then on the efficiency side for brands, they're just going to be able to roll out creatives in no time. Like those Symphony ads through TikTok, we're able to roll them out in like 5 minutes max. Just for one ad. And we know how long creative can take because, of course, you want your creative to be highly effective, be able to convert, etc. But when it comes to like TikTok and pushing content, why wouldn't you test some of these ads out, especially because you wouldn't be able to tell a majority of the time. So super beneficial. No, those are great points there, Sarai. I want to talk a little bit more about the display side. You did kind of allude to it earlier, and I know that Walmart is really leaning into self-serve display and display in general. So can you talk a little bit about what some of those more recent changes have looked like, and also maybe where you see it going?
Yeah, of course. I mean, display has also been another feature that has had a massive following behind it, just because we can highlight certain products or your whole assortment. So it's definitely a tactic that we recommend for our clients to use, especially because it drives new to brand. Who doesn't like to see their new to brand numbers go up? So, I mean, now it's been because it's been rolled out and because we've had so much time with it, there's definitely some updates that it has. Like we used to be able to do the designated links and land on the PDP or land on just like a landing page with an assortment of your products there. Now we can actually tie it to your Brandshop or a shelf page, and we could have our DSS campaign land on one of those, which was never done before. I mean, we could do that with our sponsored brand, but it's really cool that we could do it with our DSS campaigns, and that's via the Walmart Ad Center. So that's one of the biggest updates, really. And then also we have automated halo attribution that was recently rolled out by Walmart. So basically this just lets you measure the full impact of the campaigns. The halo includes all of the items within your brand that are not included in the featured set. So AKA like the measurement of the item set that you assigned in the campaign. So really anything that you currently have built in your campaign, that's what it's going to measure. The metrics that it has are, so it's total, featured, and halo. The total one, it just combines the metrics for all of the campaigns within the attribution and calendar window, and that's the default one that we always see on the Walmart Ad Center. The featured one is for your hero items. So from a single brand specifically that's featured in the display campaign within the creative and the messaging. So like an example would be a specific diaper brand and size. So you would see that specific performance for that item and get all of the metrics for it that you need. And then the halo one is the items not specifically featured in the creative or the messaging, but that are associated with the brand and the category. So it would be, if we're talking diapers still, it wouldn't be a specific one. It would be like a general brand. So like Parents' Choice or Huggies. So you would see how those are trending as well, which is really cool because these are insights we never had before. So I definitely see the Walmart Ad Center growing over time, and I definitely see agencies taking over and managing it just like we do with sponsored products.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to lean into that a little bit because I'm curious what that means for brands and what it means in terms of your messaging to brands, right? Because I think when people run any type of advertising, they really focus on what is my directly attributable ROAS. And it doesn't go beyond that in terms of like, okay, well, how is this having a halo impact on the rest of my brand? So with this, I'm assuming that now you have a little bit more leverage when it comes to, okay, it's kind of like rising tides lift all ships, right? Sure, we're running ads here, but look at the impact that's being really impacted on the rest of your catalog. Is that kind of what that messaging has looked like as of late?
Yeah, it definitely does look like it's headed that way. And I think it just helps us optimize these campaigns even better. With that additional information, we're able to see, what do we need to fix? What category do we need to tap into? What campaign do we need to build out? Like, it just helps us optimize much better and get to the customer quicker, really. So I definitely think that having this additional information is just helping us grow, which I'm really, really excited about because we used to be really limited. And it used to be not as expandful. So now that Walmart is rolling all this out, it really just helps build the campaigns and helps us drive more of our clients to want to tap into this type of resource. So I'm really excited.
Definitely. Talk a little bit about the metrics for the Brandshop. I know that's an exciting new rollout too, but the Brandshop in general is a little bit newer to Walmart.com just over the last year or so, correct? So like, how has that continued to evolve in terms of like, are we seeing a lot of brands implement a Brandshop? Are there any specific parameters that like disqualify you from maybe being able to have a Brandshop? Is that available to all? What does that look like?
So we have seen a lot of clients tap into the Brandshop, and it really is good to see them do that just because it outlines their full assortment. You can use different types of pictures, different types of items to highlight just as you land on their page, and we're able to connect it to an existing campaign such as a sponsored brand or display. So those are different ways to highlight the Brandshop, and we've definitely seen a lot of suppliers tie and want to try it out. Things that probably disqualify it is the trademark. You have to have a trademark for it, and if your trademark is not valid, or if they find an issue with it, it does put you behind a little bit. I'd say that's the biggest one we've seen. But really, as like the Walmart Ad Center, you're able to go through your display, sponsored search, and the Brandshop. So you're able to see the metrics. You're able to see the impressions it's hit, the ROAS, the clicks. You're able to see basically what we see on the sponsored side and on the display side, such as like KPIs. But it's just interesting to learn and see the customer go into this specific page just to see your full assortment.
Yeah, definitely. I know for Amazon, we see between like 10 to 20% of sales strictly coming from the brand store. So I imagine as Walmart releases more and more data, they're also going to see something similar, maybe even more, because there's so many products available at Walmart and you have that tie to the in-store experience. So no, that's great to hear. I want to close on just talking a little bit about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I'm sure your life has become a little bit more chaotic since the start of October and Q4 planning, as
Yeah.
has anyone who's worked in e-commerce during this time. But I've seen when looking at the Walmart homepage that, they're really pushing their Black Friday deals, but it looks like their pre-deals, which are running from the 11th to the 17th and are currently ongoing, up to 70% off for a lot of those brands. I'm curious what placement looks like for those. I know we've talked about it with a few of your peers and people on your team related to like how expensive some of these placements look like sometimes on homepage, etc. How is Walmart Connect kind of pitching these larger events to you? What is your recommendation as far as brand participation in them? And really just what are some of the trends that you're seeing within the space already leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
So I'll start off with the trends. The trends that we tend to see is a lot of search volume rise. So the main metric that we kind of pay attention to during these weeks is impressions. Just because the site is full of that search volume, customers are trying to get that good deal on the products that they love. So impressions are one of the biggest things that we're monitoring during this time. Also CPCs. You mentioned how it is a little bit expensive as we get into this Black Friday week and we go into Cyber Monday. We do see CPCs increase, which we understand is going to happen. I mean, people are trying to win the top placements because they have the deals to support it. But as someone who may not have any deals, we're still trying to be number one and have you choose our product. So it's a lot of battling, a lot of competitiveness during these next few weeks. I mean, our team, we like to talk to our account managers and the brand too, just to kind of get a game plan on what we want and what we're gonna see. So we kind of give them an advisory of like this is what we're gonna see. The trend is a lot of impressions, but maybe higher CPCs, maybe a dip in return. We may need to scale up in budget. So we definitely have those talks with brands. That way, when we land into this week, we're fully prepared. We know what we're going into, what we need to optimize. And even sometimes we have calendars that we fill out where we have bids that we want to go up at a certain hour. And we work on these a month before so that, when it's time, we're fully prepared, we're fully engaged, and we don't miss a beat. So there is a lot of prep that goes into it. And there's a lot of conversations with brands leading up to it as well. I mean, it's the craziest time of the year. So there's definitely things I notice, but every year can be so different.
Definitely. And I want to I said I was going to close, but I had another question for you because something that you said had something come up. And I'm sure you've gotten this question on almost every brand call you've had.
Yeah.
But I know I saw probably a month or so ago, Helium 10 in their Atomic portal released the ability for Dayparting. Dayparting during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Want to hear your take on it because I think a lot of brands will probably, and through the data, you'll see you're maximizing conversion, let's call it between 6 a.m. Pacific time and 9 p.m. Pacific time. There's a window there, but there's also hours before and after, which maybe traffic is lower, but also conversion is lower. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? Is a sale, or should we be Dayparting?
Oh, this is so hard. I think a sale is a sale always, but you want to be smart with that sale. You want to be able to hit the customer at the right time. So I mean, I have campaigns that are on Dayparting, and the reason I support Dayparting is because there are certain metrics that we've gotten from Walmart where it allows us to know, like, what are the peak hours that customers are shopping for specific products. So I definitely want to Daypart and save all of the money that I can to be invested in the hours where the search volume is the highest and I know is going to target my customer at the correct rate. So it's hard, but I do lean more on the Dayparting side. I just think it's very beneficial, especially during this peak season. You want to save as much of your ad spend as you can for those hours where you know the search volume is going to be worth it, and the CPCs either may be low or high, and you just want to be prepared for it.
Agreed. And I think that's always the tougher part of Black Friday, Cyber Monday falling at the very tail end of the month is when you're working with monthly budgets. That then means that you're preserving a lot of that budget for the end of the month. So with that and Dayparting, you're able to be more strategic with your budget. And as Sarai said, lean into Black Friday, Cyber Monday a little bit more prominently during those time periods specifically. Well, Sarai, I think this was action-packed despite our little glitch that happened, which I don't even know how that happened, but it's okay.
Yeah. I hope this was insightful. As much as it was like being offline, I hope you guys learned a lot from it.
Definitely. No, I think this was fantastic, and I really appreciate having you on. I know that somehow over the last 3 years, you've completely avoided me and avoided this podcast. So
We live on different coasts, so it's hard. But no, Delaney, you're doing such a great job with this. I am so happy to have had this conversation with you. This was definitely not anxiety-inducing at all. I felt like, I'm just talking to a counterpart about the updates, and it feels really good to share it with the world as well.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have you back on. And if you have any questions for Sarai, you could email her at sarai@vendocommerce.com. You know where to find us. We're here. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them directly within the chat on LinkedIn or Meta. But really appreciate you guys joining us here today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next week on Vendo Velocity. Hi, everyone. Chat with you soon. Thanks, Sarai.
Thank you, guys.